Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this regular scheduled meeting of the Beavercreek City Council. May we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Adams.
Here.
Councilmember Bales.
Here.
Councilmember Curran.
Here.
Councilmember Dewar.
Here.
Councilmember Schwartz.
Here.
Vice Mayor Garcia.
Here.
Mayor Stone.
Here. This time, I'd like to turn it over to Councilmember Dewar for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The death of Queen Elizabeth II on September 8th saddened many people around the world. Much respect was paid here in the U.S., with numerous flags flown at half-mast on private homes in Beavercreek. In a world where much is changing rapidly, she was a symbol of steadfastness and duty, and an example to all of a life well lived in public service. Upon reflecting about the Queen, I thought about how she broke a 600-year tradition to play the Star-Spangled Banner after 9/11. I also thought of the enduring special relationship between the United States and the United Kingdom, standing side by side through the biggest tumult and conflagrations of the 20th and 21st centuries. From Wilson and Lloyd George to FDR and Churchill, Reagan and Thatcher, and Bush and Blair, among many other pairings. The Queen's death marks the end of a long era, and she will be missed. But it also highlights the importance of steadfast public service and a commitment to allies standing together in times of need. Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we have an agenda before us this evening. Any changes or questions?
Move we approve the agenda, Your Honor.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as submitted. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we need to look at the minutes for September 12th. Any comments?
Move we approve the minutes of September the 12th.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes for September 12th regular meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank
I
you.
abstain.
Abstentions, please?
Please. Thank you, Mayor.
Yes. All right, ordinances, resolutions, and PUDs. First is ordinance 22-24.
Ordinance 22-24, an ordinance by Beavercreek City Council repealing Section 97.10, Weeds and Grass of the City of Beavercreek Codified Ordinances, and enacting a new Section 97.10, Weeds and Grass.
Thank you. Good evening. You bought it.
Just got expensive. My goodness. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of City Council. Happy to be before you this evening. As the clerk read, we would like to make just a few minor changes to our weed and grass ordinance. We've talked about this in a work session. One provides an opportunity for the city manager when there is potential danger or hazard to the public, affords the city manager the option to be able to maintain that parcel. Also clarifies that right of way must have ground cover or some sort of grass cover. It can't be simply sprayed with Roundup and completely destroyed. So those are two clarifying points that we wanted to make. Happy to answer any questions that you may have this evening.
All right, anyone have any? Now, when you said ground cover is grass, you also, I'm assuming, saying that the pavers that we have in various places in the right-of-way.
Yes, of course. Thank you.
Anybody?
Move we approve ordinance 22-24, right-of-way mowing. To move it. Move this ordinance to the second reading.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to move ordinance 22-24 on to the second reading. But before I do that, to call for a vote, I skip. This is an ordinance. This is a first reading. Is there anyone here present this evening that would like to comment on this ordinance? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is Resolution 24-48.
Resolution 22-48, to authorize the Beavercreek Police Department's acceptance of the Ohio Traffic Safety Impaired Driving Enforcement Program, IDEP grant.
Good
Evening,
evening, Mayor,
Chief.
members of council, and I've been advised not to touch the microphone. I'll leave it alone. The Beavercreek Police Department was notified of our eligibility to receive a grant through the Ohio Traffic Safety Office to provide funding for high visibility enforcement. This high visibility enforcement is a universal traffic safety approach designed to create deterrence and change unlawful traffic behaviors. HVE combines highly visible proactive law enforcement targeting a specific traffic safety issue, in this case IDEP, which is the Impaired Driving Enforcement Program. Hours must be used to conduct this activity when there's typically impaired drivers and fatal crashes. Our grant eligibility for this particular grant is $33,392.50, which is a reimbursement to the city for officer overtime, fringe benefits, and also will include up to 5% for fuel and labor costs. There is no local match for this grant. This grant runs again, which is every year is the same thing, from October 1st of 2022 through September 30th of 23. And we're recommending the council approve for the police department to accept this Impaired Driving Enforcement Program grant.
Thank you. Comments, questions?
Motion to approve Resolution 22-48.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 22-48. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Next is Resolution 22-49.
Resolution 22-49, to authorize the Beavercreek Police Department's acceptance of the Ohio Traffic Safety Selective Enforcement Program STEP grant.
Thank you.
Again, we have been notified of our eligibility for this grant, and it also involves the high visibility enforcement. And STEP is different from IDEP. STEP is the Selective Traffic Enforcement Program, which is pretty much distracted driving, speeding, aggressive driving, pretty much anything else that does not apply under the impaired driving grant. Our eligibility for this grant is a maximum of $34,892.50, which again is reimbursement to the city for the officers' overtime, fringe benefits, and up to 5% for fuel costs. And the grant period again runs the same exact time, October 1st of 22 through September 30th of 23. And there's no match for this. And we're recommending a council approval for this, for our department to accept this STEP grant.
Thank you. Questions? Motion?
Move to approve Resolution 22-49.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 22-49. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is Resolution 22-50.
Resolution 22-50, a resolution authorizing the submittal of applications for Federal Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act funds through the Miami Valley Regional Planning Commission.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, members of City Council. This year, we are once again submitting projects to MVRPC for, this year it's called the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. IIJA is the acronym for that, which is a little less easy to say than FAST Act, which was the last one. So this year we're looking at proposing to submit 7 projects. The first 6 are within the city of Beavercreek. The 7th one is partially within the city and partially within the township. That would be a joint project should we get approved for the grant. Also, real quick, this year we do have Cmac eligibility. That's once every 2 years that program happens. With that, this year, since there are Cmac funds available, all of our widening we are looking at doing under Cmac since that is an eligible project type. The resurfacing projects are STP projects this year. This year, resurfacing is different than the last few years that you've seen when we've come forward was simple resurfacing where all you could do was resurface the road, no other repairs. This year, however, we can include curb repair, sidewalk repair, and catch basin repair, other items that need to be done along with resurfacing of the roadways. Along the other items that we have this year are the Kemp Road, which is the number 1 on there. Pete, I'll let you move up to that there. That one is it is Kemp Road sidewalks. That is what the majority of that project is. However, there is a little piece a little bit west of Crabtree up to a little bit east of El Cid that is 2 lanes that we would also be looking at widening for that project to complete that 3-lane section. Also with that too, there is another new category this year that we did not have previously. It's called carbon reduction. Pete, if you want to go to that one is number, I think it's number 6 or 5, yeah, 6 there. That is a that is a project that the TA. I'm sorry. Let me go back here. TA, which is transportation enhancement and carbon reduction. The federal match we can get for that is up to $1 million. So with this, carbon reduction is new. This will allow us to do infrastructure projects that we normally can't do to help lower carbon emissions. In this case, we chose the lighting out there that is high pressure sodium and convert that to LEDs, which will help us with our energy expenditure and our electric costs throughout the year for that corridor. Then let's see. The other thing that we have with these, the 2 resurfacing projects, number 4 is Fairfield there. That will be going from Beaverview to Jonathan, which is the oldest piece of Fairfield now that with resurfacing in that area. Everything else has been repaved since about 2010 and beyond. Up to the north, sorry, I'm skipping around a little bit here. Yeah, number 2, I think, Pete. Yeah, that is the other resurfacing project that would be Pentagon from Grange Hall to North Fairfield. And then, if you'll zoom out, Pete, just kind of as a whole here. Number 3 and number 5, those are our widening projects. Shakertown would be from Carthage Drive out to Southern Bell. That would be widening to 3 lanes with 5-foot sidewalk and an 8-foot sidewalk. Number 5 is Indian Ripple. That would be to continue what we previously received authorization for 3 lanes and then sidewalk on both sides up to the Corp line at Alpha Bellbrook. Then the last thing with this, the resurfacing projects, we do require a complete streets exemption for this. They will get the exemption we need is for resurfacing, which is part of that, and that is included in the ordinance with it. So, any questions? I'd be happy to answer them.
Please, go ahead.
Yeah, I have 3, Mayor. All are somewhat tangential because this is the $1.2 trillion bill that passed Congress. So it's, it's just a massive amount of infrastructure. Does it follow the same allocation as the CARES Act and ARPA monies that you can get a second bite of the apple if other municipalities do not claim? Is there that same opportunity?
No, that's not. I don't believe that's correct. That we can do that. No, we cannot do
Okay,
that with this
doesn't
one.
follow
Yeah.
the same.
Yeah.
Because the bill is over 1,000 pages, and it covers 2022 to 2026. So we can keep repeating this
Yeah.
each time.
And I did forget to mention too, Councilmember Dewar, that the TA and I think I said it, but didn't quite mention it fully. The TA and the CR projects this year, the cap was increased due to that funding increase to $1 million, where normally it's been 300,000 cap. I think next year they said it's going to go back down to 400,000. So, yeah.
I guess third point is I just recommend to city manager and staff to take an aggressive look at opportunities under this act. There's a lot of money, and while I disagree with its allocation, or with parts of the allocation, since it's out there, there may be guidance from the committee coming out of Congress on how local governments can capitalize and utilize it. So there's a massive amount, and a lot of it goes to the major cities. But why not Beavercreek, given our centerline mileage that we have to cover? This could be a good use of time, because there's a lot there. So, thank you.
Are these percentage, I mean, what is our share on
Okay,
these?
so yeah, for each of these, Mayor, I forgot to write those down exactly. I know for the Kemp Road sidewalks, Shakertown Road, and Indian Ripple and Beaver Valley, we did 70% federal, 30% local. I'm sorry, Kemp Road is a max of 1 million. That's why it looks a little different there, because we are using TA funds for that. We decided that was better used under TA than it was for Cmac, just because we have been unsuccessful with the scoring system that MVRPC has with that project under Cmac, where it scored a lot better under TA. So that funding, that has a high potential of being funded this year. The resurfacing, I believe, was 75-25 for those two projects.
But there is a city cost. to
There is
all
a
the
city
projects.
cost to all of these, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's, and again, just for the general public, that's part of our situation. We're caught in the middle here in this city because we don't have the flexibility to spend money and how we spend it. So it's our matching funds have to come from a very small pot. So, all right. Any other questions? I know you.
I have one question and one comment. My comment was more along the lines of a follow-up to Council Dewar, and just a comment for all of us to keep in mind that a lot of times MVRPC will get a lot of requests for certain types of grant funding projects, but maybe not for some others. And so I've seen over the years that they'll re-release opportunities in a year from now or 6 months from now to give us maybe an opportunity to capture some more of that money. So I know that Nick, you'll keep an eye on that and
Yes, I will.
present those to us. The other question I had was about the lighting.
Mhm.
Of our street lights throughout town, how many of them have been converted to LED compared to high-pressure sodium?
Do you have a percentage on that at all? Yeah. Okay, just so everybody knows, the new ones along Colonel Glenn are the only ones that we have that have been converted so far.
Okay, so we've got some work to do
We do.
on that. Okay.
Yeah.
There's some big savings opportunity.
Yes, there is.
Long-term,
Yes,
long run.
long-term, yes, that with the energy costs, it will be very beneficial, so.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I have two specific questions. Do you know when the last time Pentagon was repaved, out of curiosity?
It was last paved, I believe it was 2007.
Wow.
No, 2005 is when it was done last, yeah. I was trying to think when it was. That was when it was actually
That's right.
widened out.
Yeah.
Yeah. We did 2 years ago, there was a section, that first section up from Grange Hall up to the Enclave, I think that's the name of that. That was done just because it had started falling apart.
Okay.
Had some issues with a lot of cracking and alligatoring where we needed to fix that, so.
Okay. And then my second question was, with the Kemp Road and the sidewalks, will the sidewalks now run all the way from Kemp to North Fairfield once that project is complete?
Yeah, they will, when that's done, you're correct, they will run from Haynes all the way up
That's
to.
what I mean, Haynes.
all-
Thank you.
To North Fairfield, yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, and we'll have that 8-foot walk along the north side to connect into the other sides. We'll have a 5-foot along the south side.
Great. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Very nice. Anyone else? You say you had a comment?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to clarify, one thing, though, is one of the struggles that we have, since 1997, we've exceeded over $100 million in grants in streets, and that's awesome. One of the struggles that we have, if they were throwing out millions and millions of dollars upon for grants more that we were eligible, and we know the $200 million in backlog we have, that we could use it, we can't, because at least with the ones that have cash matches, because we don't have the cash to put up for it. On this screen here, in the part of the resolution, the first thing I was showing you was our grant requests. This in the resolution shows how much the city's portion of it would be. So you see number one's going to cost $1.5 million. Then there's another $500,000, $1.5 million, and number three, number four, $302,000, $886,000, $70,000, and then almost $1 million, $971,000. And that far exceeds. We have to break those up into small chunks each year to be able to do those grants. And we'll, if we got approved of all, it's the blessing and the curse. Our guys. Thank you to our engineering staff that does such a great job at writing these grants, but there's times they almost get us in trouble because we get awarded these grants and now we say, oh, how are we going to spread these out to come up with the cash matches, or are we going to cut down on regular resurfacing to be able to do it? So it's a very big balancing act. So even if there's more money that would come, and we know these projects, by the time we apply and everything, we always are looking 5 years out for these grants that we apply for. But if more money would come down, the first thing we're going to say is, do we have enough cash to support the 25-30% cash match? Now, if they were 100% grants, give us all you got, just about, other than us needing more engineering staff to do more work. But the cash match is an issue when we get to these grants, that we get up to the wall of how much free money that we can take because of the grant cash match portion that we are, as this resolution is stating, that the city is going to abide by, saying we're going to commit these funds if we get the grants approved. So just wanted to clarify that. Grants are great, but there is a cost to it, and we're pretty well staffed. Maxes out that cost every year for grants. That's a very good balancing act that we have to do. Hope that makes sense.
Well, we've got to stay on top, and staff does a great job of reaching out and finding what's available. And when you get to 70% of a project funded, you got to hunt and beg and peck and choose once in a while, and you got to try to find it. So thank you very much for all your hard work. Any other comments on Resolution 22-50?
Motion to approve Resolution 2250, Your Honor.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 22-50. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is Resolution 22-51.
Resolution 22-51, a resolution by Beavercreek City Council authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute an agreement by and between the City of Beavercreek and the Miami Valley Research Foundation, MVRF, to purchase 3 parcels of land, parcel ID numbers B420002000, 60001500, B4 200030001 30002900 and B4 200030013003000, which parcels total approximately 69.5 acres of land from the Miami Valley Research Foundation to acquire the land to facilitate the completion of the Willowcrest Stormwater Project and to further promote further development in the city of Beavercreek.
Well, thank you. Would you repeat those zeros?
Sure.
Thank you, Debbie.
Mr. Mayor.
All right, City Manager, I believe you are on the hot seat right now.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to go over, these are 3 parcels that we have been discussing, and what this resolution 2251 does is authorize the city manager to negotiate the purchase of these 3 parcels of property. All 3 parcels are owned by the Miami Valley Research Park Foundation. 2 of the parcels are together, which total about a little over 54 acres, and it's located on the east side of Grange Hall, and I'll show you a map here in a minute. Grange Hall directly across from the new park land just purchased just south of Willow Crest Drive. The 3rd parcel is a little over 15 acres and is located on the southwest corner of Research Boulevard, or 835, and Grange Hall Road. So when we're looking at the 54 acres, the 2 parcels that are together, and we'll show a different map closer here in a minute, it is this area here. These 2 parcels, the one in red, outlined in red and outlined in blue, are the 2 parcels that make up about 54 acres. This whole part from here, except for this 10-acre carve-out, which is privately owned, but from Patterson down to Shakertown, this all is the 148 acres of parkland we just purchased. So just didn't want anybody to confuse this potential purchase with the parkland. But as you see, it's just south of Willowcrest. Now, one of the reasons even in this picture here, which once we zoom in, you'll be able to see better, but you can see water here that has been there prior. With the ARPA funds, we have identified a stormwater project. We just call it Willowcrest Stormwater. This is a map of the same area we were just looking at. And of course, this area here is the research park, except for or the new park. I gotta stop calling it research park unless we name it research, but except for the parcel here that is outlined, the 10 acres here. But you can see the water flow. This water flows through here, and continues through here. This is why we have such a water issue here in this development here. Councilmember Kern knows all too well about this area. But these are the 2 parcels here, and here are the 2 parcels on this map. Now let me go into it a little further. This is the water. As you can see, this is the parcel, 1 parcel, and this is the 2nd parcel as I'm circling them. So these are the 2 parcels, as you can see, where the water again, and it backs up even more into the development here. But definitely impacted by major water issue. This is the same basic picture. Here's the 1 parcel, here's the 2nd parcel. This is purely just a first stab. Right now, this project is actually the detail engineering is being done, but this was the initial plan of what would be needed before we go into details of detail engineering. As you can see, on Research Parkland, this being right here being Grange Hall Road, and right, you can barely see it, but right here is kind of covered up as Willowcrest. And what this will do is a pond would have to be dug here, and pipes underground crossing the road come up to here. Then this part from here all the way down would be underground, and then you'd have an open pond, a large open pond that covers over several acres there. Of course, you can see the red outline. That is the red outline is just where it goes down. You have to account for the pond to fill up at some point in time and then resend back down, so they over dig. It's the bank, more or less, of the pond area. So it's a significant part of this project is done on this private land that is owned presently by Miami Valley Research Foundation. Here's a closer picture of the 2 again. So again, this would become a pond. That's no problem. We own that land now. I know a lot of people are going to say something about the trees, but that's a low spot, and those trees are going to be dead wood before long, sitting underwater to start with. But the piping would go through here, and of course then open ponds through here. So again, these two parcels of land are very much impacted by this stormwater project. So why are we interested in these two parcels? There's significant investment for the city stormwater project. We're looking at the estimate from $2 to $2.5 million is this project using the ARPA funds, which we normally don't have. Approximately about at least $1 million or more of investment directly onto these two parcels. It's an easy guess by looking at all the pond and the piping that it's at least $1 million or more. The purchase allows the city to proceed with the project without negotiating for permission, right-of-way, or easements. We don't have to ask permission if we own it. The rest of the property, as far as dealing with on the new parkland, we wouldn't have to worry about that property either. One thing I want to stay very clear with, it will not become a new park. It's not going to be part of the new park. This is not intended for that. Because once the project is completed, we hope in 2023, with the stormwater project for these two parcels, we hope to have the detailed plans by the end of the year, January, February timeframe, which at early next year we will bid out the project. And once we bid it out, we would hope to complete the stormwater project by the end of 2023. Through the Beavercreek Development Corporation, which is the economic arm of the city, we would hope to resell of the parcels of all three parcels, but we're only talking about these two parcels right now. And development can better be controlled to maximize the desired outcome for the parcels. So not only owning it does it not allow us to proceed with such a large stormwater project without asking Mother May I, so to speak, or paying for anything, but also it will allow us as owners through the Beavercreek Development Corporation to have more control on what actually ends up going there for development. The next is the 15 acres, which is again on the corner of 835 Research Park and Grange Hall. A lot of it, the back half is has some water issues, but the front part of that would be good for a nice building to be put there. Maybe it's been there for years, hasn't moved. It's been part of the Research Park Foundation land that has just not been developed yet. But in conjunction with the other two parcels, the city is able to capture this corner lot as well through the Beavercreek Development Corporation. As I've said, that through the resale of this parcel, development can be better controlled to maximize the desired outcome for the parcel. Again, will not become part of a new city park. So this land is for resale purposes, not to become a park. So what's Resolution 2251? First, I'd say thank you, Tyler Morton's here, representing the Beavercreek Development Corporation. Thank you, sir, for coming. The Development Corporation Board passed a resolution in support and encouraging City Council in the purchase of these three parcels for basically the reasons that I've mentioned in this presentation. The BDC Board is willing to assist the city in the management of and the resale of the parcels. Once under contract, all due diligence will be conducted, including survey, environmental work. Hopefully it's only just environmental phase one. We have been across the street with all the parkland that we've done environmental ones on, and that's all we had to do. So hoping the same is true just directly across the street. Short-term acquisition with full expectation of recouping purchase price, at least purchase price, probably more. As the project will increase the value of the water project, will increase the value of the land, especially across from the park, immediately across from the park. And of course, this simplifies the process for the city to proceed with the Willowcrest Stormwater project. We don't have to ask for permission since we already own it. There will be a simple, with the Beavercreek Development Corporation on the management. In the future, once we take possession, there'll be a contract for that. But through the Beavercreek Development Corporation, as I said, all three parcels, through the resale of the parcels, development can be better controlled to maximize the desired outcome for these parcels. And remember, as we do development, if it meets our zoning code and meets the minimum requirements, a developer can come in and say, this is what I want to build, from rentals to a host of other things that can be built without a zoning change, without a PUD, without any other modifications that we can do. If they meet the minimum zoning standards, it is what it is. If you own the land, you can be better to control what will actually go there. You don't have to abide by your own zoning code because you're the property owner. You can say, no, I don't want that there, so no thank you for the sale. So it's good to be in the driver's seat. At this time, staff is recommending passage of this resolution, again, which just authorizes me to negotiate for these three parcels. Now, be happy to answer any questions.
Very good. Mr. McHugh, did you have anything you wanted to add to that? I don't know that, sounds like you covered it pretty well.
No, I think the manager has covered it, certainly. Thank you, Mayor.
Beavercreek Development Corporation have? Thank you. Would the Beavercreek Development Corporation like to make a comment?
Thank you for having me. Being part of the Beavercreek Development Corporation has been a process, to say the least, but I think we finally have identified three parcels that make a lot of sense for the city, and that's why I think we are here to encourage and recommend that the city does proceed with the purchase of these three parcels.
All right, thank you. And this is an example of why sometimes we do things ahead of time and people say, well, why? And that's development of when we created the Beavercreek Development Corporation, for instance. It's been sitting on the shelf here for a little while. But if we had waited until last week to say, oh, we need a Beavercreek Development Corporation, we're way behind the eight ball. So thanks for being patient, and it just shows why we do create some of these tools for our toolbox, that you never know when you're going to want to use one. Any comments?
Mr. Mayor, I would just say, over the years, I've sat up here repeatedly and had to tell residents that we couldn't do what they wanted us to do because of zoning issues or ownership issues from the past. This is finally one of those opportunities where the city can purchase this property and have a better say in what residents do want. I know, the city manager laid out this will not be a park, this will be developed, but we have a better say now in how this will be developed, whereas in the past, we are very much handcuffed to the laws of the state since we are not the owners of the property. So this puts us in a better position for our residents in the future. So it's just something that over the years we keep saying, sorry, we wish we could help, but we don't own the property. This is one of those situations where now we will be helpful to our residents in the future.
Because those two properties, they're bordered all the way around with single family, so that it does make a difference. Please.
I echo Councilwoman Garcia's perspective, and I also think that because there's this stormwater initiative on the two parcels, it even furthers our cause to acquire those two and really to facilitate proper stormwater management and everything else along with the redevelopment. It all makes sense to me.
Anyone else? Please.
Pete, could you explain what the Beaver Creek Development Coalition is, just so we have a better understanding of when it was formed and kind of what the purpose?
I have to go back how long ago it was formed. What was it, 3 years ago?
Yeah.
3 years
Yeah.
ago?
I think we're
4?
20.
2? 2020? Okay, so 2 years ago. Time flies. Beaver Creek Development Corporation is a community improvement corporation. That's basically CIC is what we call it. But it can become under contract, which we are under an agreement between The Ohio Revised Code gives the city the ability to create a economic development arm of the city that has its own board, appointed some by city council here, that had 3 members appointed of the board, and there's a whole process. But it becomes a legal entity, and that legal entity by Ohio Revised Code has the ability to do things that the city cannot, such as, when we buy land through the city, we have to do it for public purpose. We can't just buy and resell land for profit and negotiate with, on businesses to buy land that we want or want to do something with. We have a Beavercreek Development Corporation who, after the purchase of this, will actually be under contract and take possession of it. That's still to come. But they'll take possession of it, and what they'll be able to do with the powers of the Ohio Revised Code, they will be able to negotiate and say no to deals that aren't good, with, of course, definitely a lot of feedback from City Council towards we know what the will of City Council is to do. They can lease land. They can Beavercreek Development Corporation, if they really wanted to, they can own property and own rentals. And I mean, we're not interested in any of that type. But there is definitely powers that are outlined in Ohio Revised Code of what this entity can do. It can even take out debt if it needed to. But I mean, we will be restrained according to the will of City Council. Okay, I look at it as working with City Council to do the will of what City Council wants for the citizens of Beavercreek, but us being an independent board that will recommend, basically we only get money or have the ability to fund something that the city is willing to fund. Okay, so it's not like we can go out there and have a whole, at the end of the day, the city is our financer, so to speak, okay? But it is a Ohio Revised Code thing. It is looked at as, you might as well call it an arm, the economic development arm of the city. And we are under contract with the city, and an agreement that the board has signed, City Council has approved in a regular session, that outlines what the duties of the Beavercreek Development Corporation is, what they will and will not do for the city. So that's, there are, I think in Ohio, 600 and some CICs. So almost every city, the county has one. We could do transactions under the county. That was something, why don't you just do it under the county? Well, because then you have other people voting on your best interest of the city, and nobody has the best interest of Beavercreek other than Beavercreek. Nothing against the county at all. They have a great development corporation, and we still work with them, no doubt. But at times it is important. I think most cities of any size develop their own development corporation, so that way we can keep our interest above everybody else's. So kind of a short explanation. Steve, feel free to add more to it.
Yeah, the one, I think it's 72410, I think you'll look in that section, I believe there's one that says that the city can designate, or a city can designate a CIC as its economic development arm, which actually back when we created this in the initial legislation, that was included in there. I specifically included that in there, so we designate it so that it would. And one of the other things, as the manager stated, is that it has the ability, once council is done with the sewer project and determine we no longer need this particular land, then we can transfer it to the CIC under a contract, and we also have the right then to, make arrangements as to how the city gets reimbursed, and we can provide funding for other city projects or other CIC projects through the sale of this, provided the benefit is that I think the city, by appraisal on the parkland is getting a good per acre price. So hopefully there should be money, as the manager said, there should be funds left over. And that's, again, one of the benefits that between the CIC and a city, you can make these arrangements that then further economic development or rehabilitation of property. There's a lot of, I mean, the list under, I think it's section 1 or 2 in there of what a CIC can do is very extensive. We're not suggesting that, but it is very extensive.
Thank you both. I just thought that it'd be important to kind of explain that and understand that, since this is the first time we're actually utilizing the CIC here in Beavercreek. And so, Pete, when you said that we don't have to abide by the zoning code, we do, but it gives us the opportunity to make it more restrictive in that manner.
Correct.
Correct, okay. I too, we look at a lot of properties and we don't have the control of them, and so I echo the sentiments of Vice Mayor Garcia and Councilmember Bales. I think another thing to take into consideration as well is if you go to the photo where we had all of the drainage and the sewer project, or the project that we're working on, a large portion of that is going into that land. And so should we not purchase these two pieces of property, it is very likely that we would have to negotiate easements and right-of-ways, and that's going to potentially cost the city money. And so I think that it's relative to keep that in mind as well. Honestly, I've went back and forth on this several times on whether it's a good time to take this risk or not. And I think that no matter what time we look at this, we're always going to be faced with other issues within the city. And so I too support this effort after a lot of thought and consideration. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve Resolution 22-51.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 22-51. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Next is decision item. And, Randy, you're on the hot seat now, right? Yeah, don't touch it.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, City Council. I'm just real briefly, every year the TIRC, or the Tax Incentive Review Committee of Greene County, meets. We just met a little less than 2 weeks ago to talk about all the different TIFs that throughout the county. And the first topic of discussion at that TIRC meeting was the Green Town Center TIF. And by state law, we're required to the TIRC is required to review the finances of the TIF and make recommendations to City Council whether or not to continue the TIF for another year. We reviewed the finances of the TIRC, or of the Green TIF. In 2022, $325,787 was collected in revenues from tax rolls. And then combine that with a $300,000 annual contribution by Greene County, we were able to, the debt service of $533,000 for the bond payment was able to be made, and then the excess funds of a little over $91,000 was able to be put into a bond revenue, or an excess TIF fund bond account. That account actually has a surplus balance of about $1.1 million. That can be used for various things, among paying off the debt service early. But right now, we have enough surplus fund to pay for 2+ years. There's another 7 years on the bond. And so the TIRC, as well as staff, do recommend that City Council continue that this TIF for another year, and we'll review it again at the next TIRC in next September. There's a motion in your packet for you to consider, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Randy. Did the reduction in the bond interest rate, do you happen to recall how much that's?
That's a separate actual, that didn't affect the TIF that as part of this TIRC.
But it's still the amount that the TIF has to pay in bond payments, right? Is that, or am I confusing that?
Those are two separate,
Thank you, thank
two
you,
separate
thank you. All right,
mechanisms.
thank you. Any other questions? Do I hear a motion?
Mayor, I motion to accept the Turk Committee recommendation to continue the Green TIF, the Tax Incentive Review Committee, having met September 15th, 2022, as required by City Council Resolution 10-33, and having reviewed the status of the Green Town Center Green TIF, did recommend unanimously by motion that the recommendations of the Tax Incentive Review Committee, unanimously that the Green TIF continue without change. I therefore move that council accept the recommendations of the Tax Incentive Review Committee and adopt its findings that the Green TIF continue with no change. I further move that this motion be fully recorded in the minutes of this council meeting.
Second, Your Honor.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second to continue the TIF at the Green as described by the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Thank you. All right, moving right along. Council time. I'm going to mix it up just a little bit. Councilmember Adams, would you like to start?
Oh, my goodness. I don't know that's ever happened before. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was privileged to attend the swearing-in of our newest police officer this morning. We'd like to welcome Officer Morissette to the Beavercreek and look forward to a long career here. And on a sad note, Richmond Officer C.R. Burton was laid to rest today. And we should always remember how dangerous police work can be. We certainly want to thank all of our first responders for their dedication to keeping us all safe, sometimes at the risk of their own life. And speaking of the police department, they're holding an open house this coming Saturday from 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock. Please come out and take a look and be amazed at what we have. I was able to attend a pre-planning meeting for the America 250 Ohio group, which is about the 250th anniversary of the United States coming up in 2026. It's a long ways off, but there's a lot of planning has to be done. And I know the state of Ohio and several cities are already in the process of putting something together for that. So I attended Michael's House fundraiser along with Mayor Stone and his wife Margaret at the Wandering Griffith, and that's just a great organization, helps abused kids in Greene County. If you get a chance to go out and visit with them, please do that. They invite anybody to come out and see what they do out there. And I attended the Beavercreek Chamber of Commerce golf outing last Friday. And if someone tries to show you a photo of a couple of council people, don't believe it. It's just not real. No, it's not. If you've seen it, you'll understand what I mean. And then the mayor and I stopped by Beaverview Bowling Lanes to add a little support to Kelly Hill and the Sclera-Derma Association fundraiser this past Sunday. That was fun to get there and be a part of that. So thank you for putting that together. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Dewar.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to start by thanking the Parks Department for putting on the fishing derby. I had the opportunity to take my son while my daughters were swimming, and so we didn't catch anything, but it was partially my fault, and it was fun to watch. The fish were just nibbling at the bait. We were so close, but we had a wonderful time together, and so thank you for putting that together, as always. Had the opportunity to run the Air Force Half Marathon, and very nicely put together event, as always. Really wonderful. I had a great run, but in particular, I'd like to shout out the Beavercreek Junior ROTC group, because they served all the runners water and Gatorade at mile 1, and then at mile 8 for the half marathon did it again. So I know the young people can get up early, they do every day for school, but they did it on a Saturday, so I thought that was really outstanding.
Yeah.
Also, to thank the Green for hosting the post-race celebration. Great way to have Beavercreek directly involved and to enjoy dinners and opportunities to celebrate the races there. And then it was also neat to see former Mayor Brian Jarvis at the finish line handing out goodies and taking care of people. So a nice volunteer effort there. But I've said it before, we sometimes get emails to the city, just, hey, can you look at this issue? And so if you're having an issue, I'll gladly run to your neighborhood because I'm in good shape to do so right now. So, but in all seriousness, I do always enjoy just seeing things on the ground, and if I can take a look at it that way, please do not hesitate to reach out. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, give the callers your number. Councilmember Bales.
Well, I'll be glad to drive to your house. Councilmember Adams did talk about the police department open house. I'm not certain that you described the facility as I would have, but I would encourage people to come out and take a look at our non-compliant, challenging work site for our police department officers. It's a good thing, Saturday, October 1st from 10 to 1. It's good to get to know the conditions in which our officers have to work in because we do have a decision to make at the ballot box this coming November. Also wanted to remind our citizens that we have a senior center health fair coming up October 7th, 10 to noon, where you can get some flu shots at the senior center and some hearing and vision screenings, which sounds like a good idea. I, too, want to congratulate Wendy Rogers and the Chamber of Commerce for a very successful golf scramble last Friday. I did have a fantastic time playing with Councilmember Adams and his son. Also wanted to congratulate Jim Amon. Jim Amon has been such a lifelong advocate for conservation efforts throughout Beavercreek, and he was just honored with the James Amon Biodiversity Reserve on New Germany Trabine Road this last weekend, so that's fantastic as well. And finally, it is homecoming week in Beavercreek, so I'm excited for that. The parade on Thursday at 6 o'clock, football game, of course, Friday night, and the dance on Saturday. As a proud father, I want to congratulate my son for being nominated to the homecoming court.
Oh, my.
And so he'll be in the parade, so we can all go out and wave to him. And, so I think that's all I have.
Thank you. And I don't want to throw any, anything inaccurate, but those pictures that Councilmember Adams had talked about, the council member pictures, they might be on that side of the room.
Ooh.
Okay, Councilmember Curran.
Thank you, Your Honor. Again, as already been mentioned by council members, congratulations to Officer Morrison. Welcome her to the Beavercreek community and our police department, and just wish her all the best. Also had been mentioned was the health fair. It's a senior citizen center, October 7th. Want to encourage people to come out for that. Coffee with the Cop, already mentioned, October 1st. Come and see our facility. Not too good. And a reason for us to, as citizens and as members of council, to see some real challenges with that facility meeting the accreditation has already been mentioned by the state and other ones. Special thanks to the Parks Department for the fishing derby. As Councilmember Doer mentioned over there, we had a lot of folks who issued photographs of things, and wish them all the very, very best. Thank you, Your Honor.
Councilmember Schwartz.
Thank you, Mayor. This past Saturday, I was able to attend the dedication of the Fairborn March to Jim Amon. It was a great ceremony. The weather was just beautiful. We missed the rain. Couldn't have been a better day. And so just thank you for his dedication to our community and to preserving the wetlands here in Beavercreek. In addition to that, I also attended a disc golf tournament called the Three-Legged Dog Golf Tournament. And as some of you may know, we have a rescue that we adopted about 2 years ago, and around Christmas she had to have her leg amputated, and so it was very cool to go out and show her off amongst all the disc golfers and give her a little bit of fame. In addition to that, I just want to reiterate the police open house on Saturday from 10 to 1. Please come out. Even if you only have 15, 30 minutes, it gives you the opportunity to at least look at the facilities, walk around, and meet with the wonderful men and women that are serving our community. Last and certainly not least, on October 3rd, the Family Violence Prevention Center is going to be holding a candlelight vigil at the Green at 6 p.m. I'd encourage everyone to come out and witness. It's a very moving ceremony if you haven't been there before. That's all I have. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Garcia.
I think everything's been mentioned already. I think the only thing I will say again is please come out to the Coffee with a Cop for our open house on October 1st. I heard from so many residents after we did kind of a debrief as to why they didn't want an income tax, that they fully support our law enforcement and want to find ways to support our law enforcement. This event's for you. This is your moment to shine. Come and see why we need the police levy. So I hope everyone comes out to see it.
Very good. I will just add, Dr. Amon, the dedication and the work that he's done in the wetlands from starting in Fairborn, coming all the way down through Beavercreek. It was a pleasure to be out there to honor him. And you may or may not know, but we as a city presented him with a certificate of appreciation. Is that what it was? And it was very nice. And it was Debbie did a great job of writing it up for me, and so we presented that, and the board appreciated it. They actually put it in a very nice wooden frame. Wow. So we were ahead as far as that end of it goes. I'll add, the only thing that hasn't been mentioned is the Senior Center had its 30th anniversary. And it was, went all out with photographs. And there were photographs for the last 30 years of what things that have been going on at the Senior Center. And unfortunately, I don't quite look the same as I did when the early pictures of the Senior Center. But that's been one of those things that I've had the pleasure of being part of council that throughout most of the process, but not the actual beginnings in the old CI Beaver building. But it was a lot of fun. The former director was there, Lee Dutille, and he really laid out some history, and it was a lot of fun. So I told him to invite me back for the 50th, and so I'm looking forward to it. With that, I think, as Vice Mayor said, that's all pretty much been covered, so I'll turn it over to the city manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple things. Yes, I too was at the Senior Center 30-year celebration. That was great. I told the seniors the good news and bad news. And the good news is that in a little bit over a year and 2 weeks or so, I will be able to join the Senior Center. The bad news is in a year, a little bit over a year, I'll be able to join the Senior Center. So they seem to enjoy that for some reason. But yeah, it was a nice event, and I had not seen such pictures as they had it all around the room, and they had the year going all the way back to 92. So 1992, and it went all the way around on tables, and you could look at pictures and photos. Somebody spent a lot of time on some of those photo albums, and really neat to see.
All those wonderful volunteers.
All the volunteers, yes. So a lot of work. We appreciate all the volunteers. I will say also the new officer, we will officially introduce her at the next regular council meeting. Chief will bring her and officially introduce her. And homecoming parade, about probably 5:45 or so on Thursday. Look for Dayton Xenia to be closed, so keep that in mind for the parade. It's not as long as the July 4th parade, so it won't take as long, but you might want to consider around 5:45 or so on Thursday evening to find an ulterior route if you're trying to go that way that evening. I think everybody's used to homecoming and that kind of thing, but just be warned. A couple other things, mainly everybody's mentioned, but I will just go through. Yes, the police department open house this Saturday, and it's in conjunction with the Optimist Club with the Coffee with a Cop. Figured, hey, they offered to bring free donuts and coffee and orange juice, so might as well. So making an all-out event. Maybe the donuts and coffee will push somebody over the edge in coming and seeing us. So this is a great opportunity for residents to meet Beaver Creek's chief and command staff, as well as take a tour of the police department. I will say that there is information on our website, and I'll show you where in a minute, under the levy, that has the talks about the facility. It's an assessment that was done and updated here within the last couple weeks, along with costs and all the deficiencies of the building. That is available on our website now for you to review, and then review it and then come see live and in person. So, but look forward to us coming out this Saturday at 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Come see us. This was mentioned, the Senior Center Health Fair, so come to the Senior Center October 7th, 10 a.m. to noon. Variety of vendors, and it's all free, so that's the good news. A lot of information there and a lot of things going on, checkups and flu and pneumonia vaccines, all this kind of stuff. So the health fair is free and open to the public, and registration is not required. Nobody mentioned this, the Try-A-Truck. This is coming Saturday, October 15th. 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. This is as popular as it gets most of the time. Kids love the big trucks, and even when we were closed for COVID, we had a Try-A-Truck drive-through, and kids love that, you know. But they love honking the horn and on the big trucks and equipment. So come out October 15th, 10 a.m. It's at the 789 Orchard Lane, which is our maintenance facility there off of Orchard Lane. Enjoy the big trucks, construction equipment, emergency response vehicles, and more. The first hour of the event will be a sensory friendly, meaning no lights and horns, as there are young children that have some sensory overloads. Beaver Creek Township Fire Department will also be having their open house just up the street, and they'll be having equipment on the lot as well. So it's a good time. Hope for good weather. Come out and enjoy. And this is what I had mentioned on our front page of our website, beavercreekohio.gov. Down below where it says meetings and the agenda and stuff, you see a little thing called Levy Information. If you simply click that, that'll drive you to the main levy page, and where we do have a police levy on and a street levy on. You'll see information on both of those items, and specifically under the police levy, you will see a link that you can click on for the file for the police department building, the facility information, and you feel free to review that. Other than that, that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, we'll move on down the agenda, and it is citizen comment. Anyone here this evening that would like to address council on any subject at all? If there is, please come forward. Give us a name and address, please, and
Good evening, Mayor Stone and Vice Mayor Garcia and City Council members. Kelly Hill, I live at 1265 Durham Court, right off of Beaver Valley Road. And first, as I say every May and June, thank you for the proclamation for June being Slayer Durham Month. Secondly, thank you, Debbie, for that 11th hour push to get members of the City Council to show support. They didn't have to, no pressure, at the Beaverview Bowling Center for our 9th annual Bowl for Slayer Durham. We had approximately 43 bowlers and supporters attend the event. And although this has been, I want to say maybe below average over the 9 years, we've raised the most funds. We raised over $3,467, and additional donations are trickling in. And my wife and I, we're going to close off donations on Wednesday. So that way, in full transparency, we can send all the donations to the Slayer Durham Foundation in Massachusetts. But Mayor Stone and Councilman Adams came to attend. And Mayor Stone, you won one of the bids.
Is that right?
Yes. A good friend of mine, Candace Reese. She's a Texan now, but she and her husband are from Alabama. And they are deep in SEC country. They are roll, tie, roll all the way. And she said it hurt her soul to create this Ohio State Buckeye Christmas wreath.
Oh, me. Yeah, this was the silent auction that they had. All right. Look at that.
And she said it hurt her soul to make Ohio State Buckeyes.
Well, you tell her we appreciate that very much.
Yes, sir. And she thanks you. So my wife actually texted her during the event. She said, you know, we're on the league. Mayor Beavercreek. She said, are you kidding me?
right.
She was extremely excited.
Well, you just hang loose till after this meeting, and I'll get you my bid money there on
Yes,
that
sir.
for that.
Yes,
All
sir.
right.
Again, thank you again every year. It's great to see your face. I know the mayor and I and Mr. Councilman Adams, we joke. And I believe it was Councilwoman Swartz, and maybe it was Vice Mayor Garcia that said I stay the entire time.
I was going to say that again. The whole meeting.
Yes, of course, because it would be rude of me to leave otherwise. My mother would not accept that. So, again, thank you and bravo to the city council, especially being a member, a citizen of Beaver Creek since December 28th of 2008. Been a member, a citizen of Beaver Creek, and I have no way, I won't say I have no place to go, but I have no plans to go anywhere in the immediate future. So once again, thank you again.
Thank you, Kelly. Thanks for being here. All right. Anyone else? Seeing none, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.